Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode, of No Rocket Ships. I am your host, Jamie Hancock, and with me today is Chris Rigg from Ellis Brigham, whose name I nearly forgot. I just had a
That's
blank,
a
a
good
holiday
start,
blank.
Jamie.
Sorry, mate. Right. So, Chris, introduce yourself and the business.
Sure. Thanks for having me on, Jamie. I'm Chris Rigg. I work for the Ellis Brigham Group, which 90-year-old family retailer. We're traditional retailer at our heart, so many parts of the business. People may know Ellis Brigham Mountain Sports, which is a outdoors ski and snowboard retailer. We've got shops from central London out to Bristol, all the way up to the Highlands as well. We have a few other strings to our bow as well. We also operate 7 North Face partnership stores. 6 at the moment. The 7th will be coming in September, which is exciting. In addition to that, we have another fascia called the Outsiders store, which is still really focused on the outdoors community, but taking a slightly different, more fashion-led, younger consumer approach to it, and that's having great success. As well as that, we have another arm to the business where we actually distribute some of our own brands. Some of that is to sell within our Ellis Brigham estate, but also we do some direct-to-consumer single brand stores for brands like Gramici and Montbell, quite often coming from Japanese outdoor inspired culture.
Thank you very much. Much more complicated than I had realised a few years ago, and that's some of those things are quite recent, right? So the business has changed.
Yeah.
I've known you for 6 or 7 years, and it's changed quite dramatically actually in that period of time, I would say.
So we've been working with the North Face for over 20 years. We opened the first North Face retail store in Europe in Covent Garden before they did retail, and that model's continued to serve us well and continues to develop, and it's a great partnership. But we started to diversify a bit. We're very aware that the reliance on skiing and snowboarding was not going to be here forever, and we needed to put some other strings in our bow. So slightly pivoted to ensure we could cater to a fashion-led outdoor customer, as much as still keeping our kind of heritage in the real end users, people who want to get high-quality kit and use it in the kind of harshest environments on the world. We added the distribution arm in because we've got to compete against direct-to-consumer retail with bigger margins, and we have to try and get some of that pie really without us wanting to become making our own brand, which comes with a load of headaches we didn't want to embrace.
And you've been with the business for a long time, right? So you're director of retail, and you've been there for
23 years now.
23 years, man and boy.
Well,
literally, man.
Well, it's one of those classic. You fall into retail. I took an opportunity after taking some redundancy to work in a shop just to give myself some cash and found a little niche for myself over the years. Ran our Covent Garden flagship for 5 years and then moved into regional roles. And for about 15 years, I've been directing the retail across the estate.
So there's very few people who know retail as well as you, actually, and the changes that have come about. So you guys are heavily involved in Let's Go Shopping. You've kindly offered us the Covent Garden store to do a session on the first morning. But I wanted to ask you about you've been going through a revamp of the Ellis Brigham stores for at least a year. I know, maybe a little bit longer. And I just wanted to sort of dig into that really. That's sort of our first subject. So why? What are you trying to achieve? How do you get the money? What you expecting out the other side? What is the business expecting? Just tell us that story. Tell us all of it.
Okay, it's probably worth jumping back maybe 5 to 10 years. As a business, we're from Manchester originally, strong working class kind of northern roots. We don't spend money unless we have to spend money, and shop kind of fit outs has always been about how can you maximize stock, how could you maximize space in the store, and they were very functional. Really worked well. A lot of it was developed for pre-COVID customers, high footfall, lots more people in shops. And about 5 years ago, I was looking at what our competitors were. We were looking at the increasing rise of direct-to-consumer retail. When I first worked in Covent Garden, there was Ellis Brigham, there was a Field and Trek store, and there was a Snow and Rock. As we stand there today, there's our own North Face store, there's an Arc'teryx store, there's a Peak Performance store, there's multiple Solomon stores. And every time you compare multi-brand outdoor retail with what direct-to-consumer is, the quality of offering in the stores was generally less. Direct-to-consumer experience was much better, more space, better lighting, better presentation of the products. And we kind of took the decision that our positioning is to be premium and offer the best products with the best service, and we invest heavily in people. But then the environment had to be right. We couldn't do that anymore in a slightly scruffy kind of environment. It was highly functional. It's great. You could get your ski boots in there. You could get your ice axes sharpened. But we were also dealing with people who wanted to come and drop between £500 and £700 on a top end performance jacket. And so we had to make the environment right for them. So we took the view that we wanted premium products, premium service, and had to have it in a premium environment. So we started a journey to relook at what our stores would be like, add more space, start to bring some digital elements in them, and try and keep the quality of retail and keep the availability of products in there, but also make the experience slightly nicer, just a cleaner, more presentable environment to shop in. And like all these things, it takes a long time to design it, get it going, and we had the opportunity to open a new store in Keswick in the Lake District, and that was our first go. So we designed and rolled out that refit into there, and it's had fantastic plaudits. The store looks amazing. It's completely different to anything you would see in the Lake District in terms of the quality of retail. It's more akin to what you would see in central Manchester, central London in terms of the quality. And we're now, we've just finished rolling that out into Cambridge. We just refitted our Cambridge store, and we're looking at our St Paul's store for this autumn with plans in place to continue the rollout of the fit out from there.
And how does the business think about that process? Because as you say, the business doesn't particularly want to spend the money, or, the DNA of the business is careful. I won't say tight. Quite rightly, right? But it almost is symptomatic of where retail was. I feel as a consumer that retail didn't really get touched very much for quite a long time, but that since the pandemic, retail has been very heavily invested in by lots and lots of people. Is that? Am I being?
No,
I think
you're spot on.
Feels fair.
It's always been expensive to do physical stuff in stores. You have to close a building, you have to deal with the staff whose contracts you've got to invest in the design and the builders to come and do the work. It's a huge amount of capital expenditure, frightening so. And if you spent too much time looking at that, you might never do it. But you also have to, because if you don't, you're just going to fall away. And if you're not keeping up with what great retail is, then you're not going to be here in 3 to 5 years' time.
And does that mean that the ROI word, or the sort of payback word, becomes less of a conversation, if you like, almost?
Well, I'm smiling because when we started this project, we never had any financial representation on our board. We had some financial controllers, but they were very much dealing with accounts. We now have an FCO in the business, a CFO, and she's definitely looking with a closer microscope than we might have seen in the past. Some of it we're committed to do, but we're also on this journey to do it. And as a business, we don't run into debt. We don't try and build up and take loans out unnecessarily. We tend to turn a profit over every year if we can. So we're not going to refit our entire estate in probably 5 years, but we'll do it slowly as the opportunity arises and as the cash flow arises.
And I suppose, therefore, my question to you, I know that you've always been, the session you're going to run, Let's Go Shopping, is about service. And I know that service in retail, in stores, is the thing that, that's kind of your DNA. Talk to us about how that fits into the refit. Where does the sort of service element come?
So when we started to look at the design of our shops, probably in the previous kind of iteration of our fit outs, it was very much about getting as much clothing in as possible. Clothing drove the money. That's where it needed to be. As we went through COVID and as we came through out the back of COVID, it's very clear early on that anything that was service led was performing better than other areas. So we still make most of our money from clothing, but what drives the growth and what drives the activity in our shops are things like ski boot fitting. hiking boot, walking shoe fitting, snowboard boot fitting, fitting people out for snowboards, getting stuff serviced. That's one of the reasons people come to us. So part of the heart of the design was, let's elevate that. Let's make that experience as good as possible. No longer do we want one person sat on a chair squeezing next to someone else spending 2 hours on a ski boot fit. We want that feeling to feel a bit more special. It's not a cheap activity, skiing, and it's not a cheap thing to come and buy a new set of ski boots. So you've got to feel like you're having a really good service. That's working because people are coming to stores for activities, for purpose, and we need to make that the best part of what we're doing. Jamie,
And I presume,
can I pause you? Just one
no, no,
second.
go.
Someone banging on the door. Who's banging? Right. Did you see my message? It said, I'm on a call. Can you be quiet? That's all right. Don't worry. Sorry.
All right, don't worry.
Bit of parenting needed.
Yeah, those are the days, mate. My son Arthur WhatsApped my wife this morning and went, "I'm fine." Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, good.
I haven't thought about you actually. Anyway, so and again, I have always assumed that the way that you think about this is if I've booked an appointment or if I've scheduled to come in and have a fitting, I'm going to convert. Whereas if I walked on the street unannounced and walked over to some jackets, that's a much, that's a relatively, in terms of sort of lead quality. Is that, and again, do you think about it like that?
Yeah, you're going to get much better conversion from people coming in from an appointment. They've come with real purpose. We still convert a high number of customers. I think if you're walking into one of our shops, you're generally having an affinity with the activities and the sports and the mountains that we're doing. So it's not as though you're just browsing multiple of kind of fashion stores. You're coming in there with purpose. So it's never been a massive issue, but we definitely feel the move to appointment has really worked. It's made our staffing better as well. Actual staffing experience is better. This is where I go and show my age in retail. Pre-Brexit, it was pretty easy to hire people. You had multiple people coming in from all over the continent, easy to get people in work. Now it's much harder, certainly harder to get quality people. So you have to make sure you're also giving your staff the most amazing experience to make them want to stay and do a great job for your customers.
And I had a very sort of strong-minded conversation with somebody the other day in America who was telling me off about my focus just on stores, and they were like, "I know it's about everything," but they said to me, I won't name the person, Tony. They said to me, in store, you just need to hire for personality. They have to be caring. They have to, true.
So we have a slightly different view on it because, well, ultimately we have different types of stores. So if I'm running a North Face store in a major shopping centre, you can employ people for personality, and great customer service and great empathy for the customer. That is really important. It's a less technical sale. If I'm employing someone to an Ellis Brigham store, we want them to have active passion and interest in skiing, snowboard, trail running, hiking, or an associated kind of sport. They have to get that transition. We worked with people in the past who might have been runners or triathletes, and you could bring them into that environment and they could adjust and go, I get the stress, I get the specialty need for product, and so they could come across. But we will still look to employ people who love what we're doing because our customers expect that.
Yes, I can't imagine you having somebody in Keswick who doesn't go outside and do the do.
Everyone in Keswick is super psyched for it, whether they're climbers or hiking or wild swimming or trail running. Everyone's an absolute keno in terms of the activities.
And just talk to us about the difference in customers in store, because as you say, there's that sort of you're in London, at least you're competing with the Arc'teryx. I say it wrong all the time, but the Arc'teryx sort of flagship, spaceship, and we both know that there are Arc'teryx wearers who won't ever maybe walk up a mountain, but just want to wear that jacket or wear that brand. Talk to us about the customer mix over the course of the last again, since maybe 22, where things feel like they've really sort of changed. What have you noticed?
I'm not sure it has changed fundamentally. The outdoors has always had a fashion customer interested in it. There's an iconic North Face product called the McMurdo Parker. Huge, great down product, massive, great hood. We've been selling them in our stores for 20 years. And when I first worked there, we were selling to the Ministry of Sound bouncers, and they still have street appeal now. So that customer looking to buy into this kind of thing for a fashion element has always been there. Certainly in what is termed the kind of core generation coming in, it's elevated now. There are way more people to do it. We have an increased kind of Southeast Asian consumer coming in, particularly Chinese, directly looking for some of these brands. It is definitely a fashion movement towards it, and we will work with that and cater for that. We've had to change some of our businesses. Sometimes we've had to take some of this product off online sales to stop it being basically sucked up by resellers, because we want to keep some of this product available for people who actually want to use it. The vast majority of people walking into an Ellis Brigham store are probably looking for something that for an end purpose, but also they know they'll also want to wear it in another environment as well, and that's where you get great value out of a product.
So, well, let's talk about omnichannel, right? Because I think that's you guys did an amazing job of rebuilding the Ellis Brigham website. Again, I think it was last year. It as it looks like a fashion brand now. I mean, it really does. I mean, I know that the guys who built it really did do a fantastic job, and presumably that's one of the reasons why those customers who are sort of drawn to you, you've got availability, you've got great supply chain, everybody knows you, you're always going to get product from these guys. So talk to us about the relationship between online and store now, and what we might call omnichannel, or whatever however we might describe it. Again, we've had lots of conversations about this over the years. How does the business think about it?
It's been part of a longer term strategy. Is sat down with my colleague Mark maybe 3-4 years ago when we decided we need to re-platform the website. We were trying to develop kiosks for stores. We were trying to get an endless aisle type experience in our stores, in our smaller stores where you can't take the entire product range. And we came to the conclusion that, okay, I could go to app developers, software providers, but all we wanted to do was actually to run this off the website. So we decided we have to have a really kind of like state-of-the-art website experience. And our kind of omni-channel evolution is continuing. We've just started rolling out our new POS system C2 across all of our stores. And where we're coming at it now is omni-channel's been around for ages. We've offered online returns into our stores. We've offered sales from items not in our stores for online collection, directly collection into our store, reserve in store, all of this to customers for a long period of time. What's key to our strategy now is with the modern POS system coming into our stores, we'll actually have CRM data from our store estate as well. And for the last 90 plus years, we've never had any information coming out of our store estate other than a bit of email capture. Where omni-channel is, I mean, I've said this to you before, Jamie, I think the word is irrelevant because it's about customer service, and a customer is not thinking if they're an omni-channel, they're an online, or they're a stores customer. They're thinking they want to get what they want, where they want it, and as easy as possible. And whether they're in a store wanting to know where their online order is, or whether they're calling a customer service to find out where the stock availability in the store is, or looking on our website to find out stock availability, it's about giving the customer what they want, which is ease of access to products in a way they want to shop at the right time.
And you mentioned appointments a couple of times. I know that have appointments. What have you done with appointments? I can't remember quite where you got to with that. You obviously are generating, people are booking appointments now for those ski boot fittings. What have you done? And is it a game changer? Is it a nice add-on? What's the impact that sort of stuff happens?
It's been challenging to the business because we used to just work on an on-demand basis. For a period of time, we actually sold fewer units when we moved to appointed because our staff were used to just literally getting as many bums on seats and selling as fast as possible. But again, customers didn't want to come and wait for an hour in a store anymore. They didn't want to wait and just, I'll hang around until that person's ready. So the customer demanded it. So we rolled it out just off the back end of COVID. We're actually probably on our second provider of appointments now. And now it's absolutely fundamental to what we do. selling over 10,000 ski boots a year through our estate, and probably 90% of those are driven by appointments. What we will be doing longer term is starting to integrate that appointments into our POS, which then comes into our CRM as well. And that's really when we can start to drive value from it. I see loads of scope for that down the line, but having not been able to have CRM and customer information from stores, which is 75-80% of our sales, we were missing this massive chunk. Pulling it all together actually is really powerful. So omni-channel to the company will mean that we get data and we can understand a full customer journey. When we've done that, we can offer better service and better support for our customers.
Yeah. I mean, it's simple, isn't it? If I've spent a huge amount of money on ski boots one season, you know how often people redo that process. There's a relatively straightforward relationship that says 2 seasons time or however long people are prepared to, the real sort of super fan, they'll kind of they'll renew much more regularly, won't they?
And the other part of what we're trying to develop is digital feet scanning in our stores. So we do that through our outdoor estate at the moment, and we're probably going to roll it out at some point into our ski estate. Is when I understand you as a customer, and I know you're a size 9, but your left foot's slightly bigger. And this is a bit of a leap of faith, but I see a time in the future where we'll be able to personalise offers to you, personalise product selections to you that actually are completely nailed on for what you want and fit you as well.
Am I right in thinking that Vivo Barefoot have got a store in Covent Garden that's got got some digital fitting thing in it? I'm going to go and have a look at it. Is that the sort of thing that you're thinking about implementing?
We have actually trialed that similar software that they're using. We've got another solution in our stores at the moment. We've got probably about 10 units across the country, which is run by a company called CDAS, but there's multiple providers in the market at the moment and lots of people trying to sell it to you. So I think it's only going to become increasing. I mean, you'll see scanners in everywhere from Go Outdoors now to a JD to Hocker in Covent Garden operate it. We operate them there. Vivo Barefoot operating it. So there's lots of them in that space. And it's positioned as providing customer with amazing service. A lot of it actually comes from, again, it's an opportunity to collect and understand your consumer data.
Yeah. Fascinating. All right. Well, I think the session you're going to run at Let's Go Shopping is about fitting and that fitting journey and that whole, the way that that operates. So the registrations are already proving quite.
That's exciting.
You're popular. You're a popular person in the registration.
Good to hear.
Well, look, I thank you very much, Chris. It's very it's lovely to see you. Thanks for joining us on this feeling hot June day. And we'll catch up soon and plan more for September. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Jamie. Take care.